The Vera Institute of Justice is a nationally recognized authority on criminal justice reform. Through research, demonstration projects, and by providing technical assistance, Vera is leading the charge towards fixing a broken criminal justice system. Within Vera's Center for Sentencing and Corrections is a Safe Alternative to Segregation initiative, which provides technical assistance to state and local corrections departments across the country in hopes of helping them to reform their use of segregation, also commonly known as solitary confinement. Segregation and restrictive housing are terms used by correctional industries in order to identify housing units within the facility, which requires that an inmate be moved from general population, placed into a locked cell for 22 hours or more. Being isolated in these conditions sometimes creates mental health disabilities, exacerbates medical conditions due to the prolonged isolation. People report that living within these segregated units is just like living within a prison inside of a prison. But today, I'm here to talk to you about what technical assistance is and how Vera's work helps to change the landscape for prisons and jails across the country. Technical assistance is a consulting expertise providing services and information, as well as training opportunities to educate another organization on how to provide a service. Vera's approach to technical assistance leans on these 4 principles. Who is going into segregation? How long are people staying inside of segregation? What is the conditions like inside of segregation? How often do people return to segregation? Vera conducts several site visits in order to answer these questions. And during these site visits, there are often interviews with staff, interviews with inmates, conducting focus groups, and analyzing the policies and procedures that already exist within that facility. And so, with the combination of administrative data and the use of our research team at Vera, there's an opportunity to really compile a good understanding of exactly what's happening in each facility. And with this information, it enables the team to go ahead and provide recommendations that can be used to reduce segregation. The next step in the technical assistance process is to come up with a list of recommendations specific and unique to each facility that they're working with. While these recommendations take into account the assessment data and the information collected from their facility's policies, there tends to be some common themes that you'll notice throughout the process. Disciplinary processes vary within jurisdictions and are often not clear. There are several misconceptions regarding the interpretation and the implementation of facility policies. What this does is it leads for inmates to be unclear about how they're supposed to react in regards to different instances, and staff also overreact and may place someone into segregation for minor infractions. A possible recommendation to resolve this situation would be to create a sanctioning grid, which would clearly outline the different infractions that are possible, as well as their recommended sanctioning. If this information was provided to an inmate, let's say at intake, then it'll be an opportunity for the inmate to be aware of that instance, in addition to following after a violation and even after the disciplinary process. Consistently providing this information to both inmates and staff allows an opportunity for everyone to be on the same page. And it also allows the situation to reduce the use of segregation as an only punitive punishment for an infraction. In many facilities, placing an inmate into restrictive housing is the only response to an infraction in the facility. And so what that leads to is an overcrowding within the restrictive housing unit, and it creates a backlog for people who have been sentenced and sanctioned and need to be placed onto their sanctioning agreement. What can be done to mitigate this circumstance is to provide an opportunity for the frontline staff to be able to take care of issues on the unit. And what that looks like is to provide smaller level sanctions for infractions that occur within the facility, such as reducing TV time, or incorporating a therapeutic community, a workshop, activities for people to attend when they have minor infractions. What this does is creates an opportunity for inmates to be able to participate within other reform tactics, as opposed to letting segregation be the primary response to an infraction within the facility. Utilizing these alternatives helps to ensure that placement into a segregation unit is in direct response to a violation of an infraction, such as a violent incident or something that's egregious for the facility. After issuing recommendations, the Safe Alternatives to Segregation team works with each jurisdiction to determine which possible recommendations can be enacted. The things that go into consideration would be the size of the organization, the budget, and the feasibility based upon the staff. These things all factor into how well a system can adjust to the recommendations made. And so at that point, Vera takes a step back and allows the Corrections Department to actually begin to implement some of these recommendations. And based upon the implementation of those recommendations, Vera supports and provides continued advice and research data to support these transitioning from their overuse of segregation to their much more reduced segregation status. Overall, the technical assistance process lasts from about 9 to 12 months. And for the Safe Alternatives to Segregation team, there's years of follow-up to ensure that the organizations are working toward their ultimate goal. Technical assistance is an ever-evolving definition. And so one thing that always remains the same is a general assessment at the beginning, getting a lay of the land and understanding how things operate, and being able to provide recommendations based upon the information that you collected, and then working through the implementation process to ultimately meet the goal of your partner. For those that can afford to bring in experts, it can be an invaluable experience. However, in the case of Vera's work, the impact improves the quality of life for thousands of people currently living in restricted housing units.